Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market. This is our daily show from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT, every day of the week, where we discuss all things to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and today, the Blast market and ecosystem. It's going to be a bit of a special show today. We're going to get into all the NFT market headline news as well as the crypto stuff too. But we also want to start a series of segments where we dive into the Blast ecosystem because there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff going on there. Can't wait to get into all of that and more. But before we do that, I am, of course, your host, Bcheck. I'm joined by my legendary co-hosts, Legendary and Sammy. And just a reminder, before we get into all of the news and the discussion and the speculation, nothing that we say here is financial advice. This modern market is exceptionally risky. We do not know anything for certain. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Thursday, 29th of February, the famous 29th of February. We've been thinking about this day for days, weeks. I can't say months because it hasn't realistically been months, but it is the Thursday, 29th of February. How are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's going on, my friend?
GM. Is it your first February 29th in the space?
Possibly.
Possibly.
How often is it again?
Every 4 years, with exceptions.
4 years ago, I didn't even have a Twitter account. In fact, I don't think I was even on any form of social media. So that's how much can change between leap years. What about you?
It's not the first one, but I never remember like the entire all of the rules for that. It is every 4 years, but I think there's also every 100 years, or there's some period where it will get skipped because it's not perfect every 4 years. But anyhow, amazing day so far. Obviously, we had Portal Coin launching. It is part of the news. Mentioned it yesterday. Yesterday for me was a day to skip, to just have today to enjoy Portal Coin in the morning and enjoy Blast launching in the evening, at least from the perspective of my time zone. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this very special day.
Very, very good stuff. Sam, how about yourself? Do you feel the excitement? How are you feeling? Do you think it's almost like, do you think it's going to be an anticlimax? People thinking that everything's going to blast off today, when in actuality, surely this thing's going to take time, right? Everything about this stuff is going to take time.
I think some projects are taking time. They've been open about their I guess their roadmaps, their timelines. I think some are looking to delay after mainnet launch, so there will be some first movers, and I think some will be looking for that first mover advantage. So whether they retain that, especially, I'm looking specifically at meme coins. I think that could be quite explosive out the gate. But okay, yeah, some projects have had testnet stuff that was live, some products that were live. I don't think it'd be too long after mainnet launch that they go live on mainnet as well. So certainly an interesting time to see that capital potentially flow from Portal Coin through to Blast.
Interesting. Yeah, I think what's really interesting about it is the tactical side of things from these projects that are going to be launching, because one of the things I was thinking is like you've got this tension between wanting to be out the gate early, knowing that lots of people's attention will be there, versus knowing how many people will be competing for that attention all at the same time. And so do you want to go out early, out the gate when all the attention is there, but it be split across loads and loads of people? Or do you want to wait a little bit? Maybe the overall like aggregate attention goes down, but you have like less kind of competing voices. Maybe some people even fall away because they either give up or they like don't find product market fit, or don't don't think it's worth their while investing more time, even after 7 days or 10 days, or you might find some teams falling away. Interesting idea there. That's what I'm thinking of. Jack, your hand is raised. Welcome to the stage, my friend. How are you feeling on this Thursday, the 29th of February? Big day. Are you up for it?
Yeah, I wish I could say, Bcheck, that I'm just filled with glee from, Bitcoin being up, ETH being up, NFTs being up. But instead, I'm just really, really butthurt by the fact that I didn't shill my life away for the tens and tens of dollars that I could have got from Portal Coin. Being the small fish that I am, I know it's been hundreds of thousands for other people. I just wanted to also give you a heads up that it sounds like you have a loose like aux or some sort of cable on the mic. Everyone's coming through a little crackly, and it's doing some really funky stuff where every now and then it does a really weird noise when you guys are talking.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I'm aware of it. I'm going to be trying to adjust it in just a moment. We're going to have to deal with it for a little bit. Once we get into the discussion, once I've read the snapshot and we get into it, I'm going to like have a little play around. Definitely aware of that. Thanks for pointing it out, mate. But agree with you. It is an exciting time. We're going to talk more about Portal in just a moment because it is exciting and a shame for the people who chose to have morals. I think, is that the way you phrased it, Jack? Having some morals maybe didn't work out on this occasion. Not the first time in crypto.
Yeah, just one of those throwbacks to the COVID period with Tiger King, where it's just like, I am never going to financially recover from having morals. Like, it's just, it's the worst. Never, ever listen to them again. I'm going to shill every project, every token. Don't care if it's a drainer. If there's a chance I can make 50 cents, expect it on my timeline. Just get prepared, people. Start unfollowing now.
For all the new people in the in the show today who might have just joined us, that is Jack being what we describe as hilarious. Very, very funny joke there, Jack. We appreciate you. Just making sure that other people do as well. Let's get into all of the headlines. Remember, today we're going to get into the headlines as usual, have a proper discussion on all of the interesting stuff going on in the NFT market and crypto. And then we're going to get into the Blast ecosystem with Packbot. Can't wait to introduce them properly, get them up on stage on audio and video in just a little bit. Let's start with the headlines, though. From the snapshot, as always, pinned up top. If you want to read more, if you do find it brings you some value today, please do give it a like. First, starting with the price action, we've got Bitcoin up 6% at 62.5K, ETH up 4% at 3.4, Solana up 17%. At $129. Where did that come from? I guess the other majors had been moving quite a lot the last few days. So Solana's just pumped aggressively. Ape is chilling at around $2, up a few percent. In terms of the headlines, yep, we've got the crypto headlines moving up. Eric Balkunas, our favorite ETF reporter, said that the new nine doubled their volume record set on Monday with just about $6 billion traded. IBIT led the way with $3.3 billion of it. Fidelity did $1.4 billion. Both double their previous records. Got some more data points on this inflow. I know we've spoken about it a couple of times already on the show, but it's just absolutely ferocious. Ferocious is my adjective for describing that at the moment. Number two, Portal Coin trades at 2.6 billion FDV, a 44x for angel investors and a 17x for pre-sale investors. Obviously, price is quite volatile at the moment. It only went live 2 and a bit hours ago. So we're going to check in there, see what the thoughts are, see what the sentiment is, and see where we think that's going. And finally, Backpack Exchange raises 17 million in Series A, led by Placeholder. We've kind of noted before that team behind the Mad Lads NFT project is absolutely cooking, winning a lot of high praise from a lot of people. Some notable sales and floor prices. We've got CryptoPunks at 58.8, Bored Apes at 22.7, Mutants at 4, DGods at 2.7, Captains at 5.6, Azukis at 6, Penguins at 19.2, Mad Lads at 190 Sol, and the Nouns winning bid was at 6.4 ETH. We saw a nice Tyler Hobbs for Fidenza selling for 75 ETH, that's 260K. CryptoPunk hoodie selling for 132, and the DGod selling for 20.33. Legendary, those are the headlines. That is the price action. Anything catching your eye here? And maybe what would be helpful is if you just lead the conversation for a bit with Sammy while I try and have a little play around with this audio.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that. And I think that my audio probably will be also impacted since it's coming through to you. So apologies for that, but that should be fixed any moment. To me, apart from seeing the hoodie, always like the hoodie sales, what I quite like to see that is not in the notable sales, that creeps are holding up pretty well. Obviously, they had more details on the airdrop announcement. They're still holding that 5 ETH floor in a similar fashion. Yesterday, we also spoke about the Wassies and how they've been pumping on the news that they will have a couple of airdrops on Blast. They peaked at 2.5 ETH and I think corrected down to 2 ETH and now sitting at 1.7. So even their floor is holding up pretty well, which kind of shows in my opinion, the strength of the airdrop NFT meta, if you want to call it like that. I don't know, Sammy, if you have any thoughts on that and wanted to come in.
Yeah, I think the airdrop meta is still in full flow. I noticed we talked about Parcel yesterday, and their homeowner association NFTs, I think, have dipped a little bit, but I think that's probably more due to the pump in Sol as opposed to any adverse price action on there. But they did announce today season 3, I think it might have been yesterday, season 3, which increases the number of points for farming on the actual trade. So I think that's gone from 2 to 2.5. And then also I think you've got liquidity providing has gone from 4 to 5 per dollar as well. So I think it gives people who have joined late a little bit more of an opportunity to accumulate those points. And I noticed that in Whales market, so it's like a pre-market for trading points, I think they're trading at around about, I think it's like 2.3K per million points. So it seems pretty decent returns for those orders being closed at that. So it kind of incentivizes people to get those HOA NFTs, and likely a lot of these other NFTs that are attributed to airdrop farming, whether it's Wazzies and Rect Guy and stuff like that through Blast, whether it's Juice or whatever. So I think we're in full flow, and I don't think we've seen the end of that. So we'll see a lot of that coming through.
Yeah, maybe one additional thought on that, because you mentioned season 3 is starting on Parcel, and then I also want to hear from Tiro, since he has his hand up, is that I saw they added an interesting incentive in terms of getting 50K points if you get liquidated. So basically you now have the option, I think you pointed it out in a post, to play around with small amounts of capital and just try to be max leveraged in order to be liquidated and to be able to farm those extra points. So I find it a quite interesting incentive to put forward. But just as a side note, Tiro, did you want to come in on our price and airdrop conversation? Welcome to the stage.
Good morning. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about gas. Gas is crazy right now for ETH. Gwei is around 90 for low and 94 for high, and I don't think that's going to slow down. That's going to be a problem as more activity on the chain, as we hit the bull market again. And you're trying to buy an NFT, you're trying to make moves in the market, and you're paying, $60, $70, $80, $90 in gas that could be going into, founders projects or NFTs that are worthwhile. So I look to Sol here, just because I'm not paying the gas. Look to Sol NFTs, where you can transact, and gas is a couple of cents rather than you're paying, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, $100+ to make a move currently with the unlock of the Portal coin and Blast and everything that's going on with all the airdrops. So that's just what I'm thinking. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I do wonder actually whether, because I think we saw a stat yesterday around Coinbase, the number of new people coming onto that app. So I think it's like 3x, or was it 10x or 3x the number of users that they typically have in a day. So I do wonder whether retail's got a whiff of that. They've come back in and they've realized, okay, well, crypto's here to stay. Maybe we should kind of resurrect our old bags and start trading. But I think it should, hopefully it should die down. I know that the upgrade that's coming to ETH eventually should help with L2 gas, but I think mainnet's always going to be relatively high. So I think it probably will be that institutional grade settlement or those kind of trades. So maybe the value will accrue to that as well. I don't know. But yeah, certainly an interesting point. And I had so much PTSD from those gas checkers last year. The amount spent on gas during the bull market, it usually gets wrapped up in profits that you make as well. But still, it's pretty painful to look back on retrospectively.
I've got to say on the gas point, like I just think it's a non-point ultimately. Like we've been here before. People end up just paying the gas. Like whatever the price is, if there's profit to be made, people will pay. It's cool that there's the alternative option of Solana now, but I think ultimately people will pay what needs to be paid in order to try to profit. If there's profits to be made, guys, we're going to have to keep the show moving because we want to have an extended period of time on Blast today. Just a quick point, I had a little look on the technical issues. I'm not going to be able to solve that live on there, so there will be like a little bit of annoying audio feedback at some point in time. So just to point that out, apologies for that. We're going to fix that by the show tomorrow. But let's get into the do some quick hits of the headlines. Legendary, I think you might have touched on Portal already. It's come out the gate at about, I think it came out the gate on Binance at 3 something, and it's steadily kind of declined. It's settled at around 2.5 to 2.6 at the moment. What are your key thoughts on Portal as things stand? Like, what's the sentiment? What's your thinking? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you're right. It came out on Binance at actually 360-ish. I think we even saw a quick spike to $4. However, the issue with Binance was that, and I faced that issue myself as well as many others, that some of the deposits went through instantly, and other deposits like mine were basically lagging for more than 30-40 minutes, which just had little liquidity to trade. And as soon as those unlocked, it instantly dumped to 250, which is where it is right now. I think sentiment is pretty good. I think we've seen top farmers raking in 6-figure airdrops as well, which also will be vested. So that is insanely good to see, at least in my opinion, that we have airdrops that come out at that valuation as a very bullish sign. In terms of the more general sentiment on Portal, I think we saw the trailer yesterday hinting at Dota 2 being a potential partner. We talked more about the launchpad nature of things, and the staking being another factor that we also mentioned in discussion yesterday. So just wanting to quickly highlight those points and not dive as deep into it as we did yesterday. But I think there's also a lot of positive things to be expected from people who are holding, but obviously just given that for early investors it's a 40x, while this is a 16x, there's obviously a lot of sell pressure going on.
Indeed. You mentioned a few potential partners there, some big names kind of rumored, but the thing is, I think we're always with this project, there's always been potential big name rumors, right? I don't know any name that's concretely been agreed. Obviously, they've leaned on an advisor who was part of the GTA team at some point in time. I think that's kind of helped them out to some extent, or at least that association. But yeah, it's very interesting. I'm just sharing on the screen a tweet that came from the official Creeps account, and it said, "Wait, I thought you said airdrop singular. What is this? The Overlord has been cooking, and Creeps are gonna eat." So it does seem like all the various stakeholders are happy at the moment. The Creeps floor price is actually stuck at around 5 ETH, hasn't dipped too much. The pre-sale buyers are happy. The farmers look like they're kind of happy. Don't know if it would be as much as they want, but they're like definitely getting something. The angel investors are happy. Everyone seems pretty happy. Sammy, any concluding thoughts on the Portal ecosystem and the price action?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just trying to work out who's on the other end buying the coin. So you obviously got all these people that have openly made 45x return from angels, and then 17x from private. But to me, it's either it must be retail. Like I just don't, unless the people know something about what's to come, they're like, actually, yeah, it's reasonable to buy in at this price point. Because I think to me, if a lot of these guys that have made significant gains, they would be selling a portion of that to take some profits logically, unless they just have high conviction within Portal and who they're bringing in. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the price action once staking goes live and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, keen to see.
Yeah, very fair point. I think one of the things people were trying to figure out on the space this morning, they actually ran a space with Mario Nawal as a kind of live countdown show, and people are buying into stuff and they just don't know the details. They're like, oh wait, what is the circulating supply? People are trying to figure it out live on the space. People then sending messages like, oh, maybe we'll try and get the team to tell us. But certain people just like buying in anyway. And yeah, I mean, I don't even know clearly what the actual circulating supply is, or whether that's been confirmed by the team. And there were people buying in, not knowing, what the unlock is for investors, what the vesting is. So interesting from that perspective. But in general, it does seem to be the case that people are happy. Legendary, let's touch on one of the other headlines before we get into the Blast season conversation with Packbot. Do you want to speak to some of the Bitcoin inflows that we've seen and just the general price action in crypto and what you think that might mean for the NFT market in general?
Just because Jack pointed out that the audio for Sammy and me is worse, I think I will try to switch to the phone and stay mute in here because it's becoming really difficult, is what he mentioned. So if you might set it up.
Oh, legendary! You're coming through fine now. You're coming
It's
through
working now?
absolutely crystal
Wonderful.
clear.
Well,
Wonderful.
I think it's just going to be random. It's going to be some way a certain time, and then it's going to change. So we're just going to have to get through it today, guys. Apologies.
Yeah. On the note of the Bitcoin ETF inflows, I mean, again, it's a topic we discussed at length yesterday. I think the main update is there that numbers are up even more. If you look, that is what Eric Balkuna said, at the total volume record, which was set on Monday with just about 6 billion traded. IBIT led that with 3.3 bill, Fidelity with 1.4 bill, and the total number of trades that is significant was double two, over 500,000 individual trades were executed. I think it's a continuation of the trend that we spoke about yesterday, and I think we will keep speaking about that, and we will see new records. I think also an important news was from Fidelity's point. That's also what we touched on, that they are thinking to make it available to their retail investors, and they see that long-term portfolio exposure between 1 to 3% of a diversified portfolio towards crypto, or specifically BTC.
Yeah, very big news that we kind of touched on yesterday. The fact that big institutional investment managers were starting to suggest that the correct allocation might be to at least Bitcoin 1 to 3%, with people, more bullish people suggesting, well, that number is likely to increase moving forward. Quick question though, before we move on, Legendary, like, what is the implication for the NFT market for all this stuff? Something that we've noticed on the Bitcoin side, given that that's kind of led this move and shown insane strength at the moment, is that these ordinals are not budging. Like, at the moment, if anything, they've just kept ripping as Bitcoin has ripped. So NodeMonks, as far as when I last checked, they got above 0.4 BTC, dipped down, and then they just went back through it again. Bitcoin Puppets had almost doubled to 0.15 Bitcoin from what I checked last. What are your thoughts there? Jack's got his hand raised, and then stay tuned, guys, because we're going to get into the Blast conversation.
Yeah, I think ordinals are maybe a bit of the exception in terms of just the massive interest that we're seeing in that, and also in the BTC ecosystem that is being built. Whereas I would say that if you look on the ETH side of things, you see a lot of collections which are strongly correcting. It's not a new pattern. I think when ETH is ripping really hard over a couple of days, not like in a more sustained period, people want to have access to quick liquidity. And once ETH is chilling a bit, if you want to put it like that, you will probably then also see more money moving into NFTs. But that's not something that I found to be surprising. I don't see that like as a long-term or mid-term trend, but like on those days with intense volatility and upwards movements on ETH.
Very good point. Interesting stuff. Jack, your hand is raised. What are your thoughts on the crazy Bitcoin price action, kind of implications on the NFT market itself?
It is wild. Like, I think so. By the way, NodeMonks at 0.43 at this point. So they have like just completely smashed through the 0.4 that they've been sort of back and forth with over the past couple of days. To me, it's like a perpetual cycle. Like it's just people see Bitcoin going up. They're like, I'm out on a limb, and I think this is like NFT people specifically. Like, I'm out on a limb on Bitcoin now. I've missed my entry. They just look at that huge figure and they say, I just can't afford enough of it for it to even interest me, even though that is completely the wrong move. DCA, 100%. That being said, I think that is the mentality. And then when you see Bitcoin ordinal projects just moving up with it, and an example being like a direct example, I picked not a cool cat, that would be hilarious. I picked up a Quantum Cat maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe not, like very recently, 0.2, and it's now at 0.27 floor. and I didn't buy a floor. And yet, on top of that, you also have how crazy of a Bitcoin move it's had. So you're just getting multipliers everywhere, and people are watching that and saying, okay, maybe I can regain my Bitcoin, sort of like get to the target I want to get through taking a secondary bet on ordinals themselves. I think that's all we're seeing right now. Very, very interested to see what Puppet MaxiBiz does today, the derivative from the two biggest projects on Bitcoin currently with Puppet and on ordinal MaxiBiz. I think that will be a real show, with it being a double derivative of like what stage of euphoria that side of the market is in, and it'll be very relatable to what we saw in Ethereum in 2021.
I like it. I like that thinking. It's definitely showing insane strength. So it's one of the things we want to watch very closely. And I like the comparison to the ETH market back from 2021. Obviously, ordinals just so much earlier in their development. Very, very interested to see how that plays out. Shout out to Paul in the comments. I think you might be right. I think it's Discord that's added. It's causing some of the issues with the audio. So thank you for that. I hope we might be a little bit cleaner now, but again, apologies if there is any annoying audio feedback. But guys, we cannot wait much longer. We want to get into the Blast discussion. I'm delighted to say that today, to kick off Blast season, which we're going to try to be covering on a relatively routine basis on the show every single week or a few times per week, we are delighted to say we have PackBot with us. PackBot is a social Telegram trading bot on Blast. They've partnered with other big names on Blast already, including Mangrove and Monoswap. They also received an honorable mention in the Big Bang competition. So we're delighted to welcome Lennart to the stage live on X, live on video at the same time. We're live on YouTube and X at the same time. Lennart, welcome to the stage with us. You're going to provide us some background on the protocol and insights into the Blast ecosystem. Just to start off, who are you? What is your team working on? Who else is on your team? Why are you well placed to do what you're doing?
Hi, my name is Lennart. I'm the co-founder of PackBot, and I'm responsible for everything growth, marketing, BD stuff. And we are building the social trading app native to Telegram. This includes an EVM wallet and a trading bot and social trading groups for the Blast ecosystem. And we started building PackBot 3-4 months ago because we wanted to build the best trading web app directly on Telegram and wanted to contribute to onboard the masses to crypto. So we're an early stage project, actually a kind of underdog because we are fully self-funded, no investors, no burn rate. We invested already 6 figures in our project ourselves. But this is actually an advantage, not only for us, but also for users, because no investors was able to get their hands on our tokens for cheap in a pre-seed seed round. So there will be most likely less selling pressure from a few insiders. We have a lot of tokens for our airdrop seasons. So we are a team of 5 people. Me, then a product lead, our genius product designer, and then some a backend dev and front-end dev.
So you mentioned, I was going to say, so you mentioned about the integration of like social and Telegram bots. So like, I mean, I'm familiar with using like Telegram bots, but how are you looking to like integrate that social element? I know we've seen like the boom of Friendtech last year. And a bunch of other apps that have kind of exploded. And I know even Pixels have integrated guilds and put that on a bonding curve. So just in terms of like, maybe just talk to that point around how that integration is happening between social and the Telegram bot.
Yeah, so in short, you can think of PackBot as Friendtech plus Unibot plus performance data. So we have our Telegram ecosystem. We have topics and channels. There you have an token trading signal, alert channels, where you can then send token signals to anyone on Telegram, and they can just copy trade you instantly. And then you can also create token-gated trading groups in our Telegram web app, and then you have a specific token-gated channel on our Telegram ecosystem. And then other people can buy your key to get access to that specific channel, and then you can discuss any token and trend in these trading groups, and you can send those token signets to trade together. And then the key differentiator is that we display the trading performance of each group that allows users to decide which group to join based on facts rather than key price speculation.
So do you kind of see, like, I mean, Telegram has like multi-millions of users.
Yes.
Do you see crypto specifically shifting towards that, maybe away from Twitter, or do you think it's just a different, like a closed communication network versus open?
I think Twitter and Telegram can perfectly coexist, and it's already doing. So on Twitter, you get all kind of alpha news from specific key opinion leaders. You see a lot of news, but on Telegram there's more kind of active engagement between users. And Telegram is one of the Web3 super apps. That's why we are 100% focused on Telegram to onboard new users. That's totally my opinion about Telegram to be one of the major communication channels for everything crypto. That's why we wanted to build our social trading app within Telegram, so people don't have to they are not forced to leave Telegram, use another website, use another wallet. They can just do it directly in Telegram.
And how does that particular product like fit into the Blast ecosystem? Because we've seen like Blast mainnet going live. There's a lot of hype around that. So I guess just plugging into that, like, will the Blast allocation of any dev rewards get passed on to users, and how does that work?
Definitely, yeah. So we secured a solid developer airdrop due to the fact that we were selected as one of the winners in the Big Bang competition. And we will redistribute that 100% to users. The problem we are solving is that crypto trading can be very complex, and the best trading groups are not accessible to the public. So that's what we can offer to the Blast ecosystem to increase the trading activity in general, because users can interact with each other. They can send themselves token signets, so to trade instantly together and just have all the valuable information at hand, and have easy and instant call to actions with just a few clicks in our Telegram web app.
And how do you plan to onboard users to Packbot?
We will introduce our point system. I think this is what all Blast projects will do to incentivize trading within our web app wallet. And then Packbot can serve as your kind of entry point into the Blast ecosystem, because we will integrate as many projects as possible so that you can use Packbot to trade on any Blast protocol and farm also their points. So you can actually have an airdrop explosion, if you want to say, by earning or farming Blast points, then farming Packbot points, and then any other protocol such as Thruster, Monoswap, Blaster Swap, even Particle, and our some other partners we have.
Talking about partnering up with other projects, you just mentioned a few names. Were those all projects that you plan to integrate, or are those projects that you already have a set partnership with? Could you maybe talk a bit more to that?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we aim to become the go-to platform for trading within the Blast ecosystem. So our focus at first is on integrating spot dexes. We have partnered with Thruster and Monoswap and also Hyperblast. And we are also in discussion with Blaster Swap to integrate them as soon as possible, also Phoenix. And then we also have official partnerships with Particle and Juice and Mangrove. For that, we have to integrate their features. This will probably take a bit of time, but this will be our focus in the first few months, to integrate as many other protocols as possible that you can really use the Packbot web app to trade and farm on any protocol you want.
Thanks so much. I've got a couple of more general questions, or more specific questions, about the actual product and your ideal user, because lots of people in the audience, we're quite native at this point, like very proficient in going around in various dApps and stuff. I've got a few more questions on that in a second, but just to speak to all of these partnerships and the Blast ecosystem for a second, like, what is the energy like? Like, what have you been building before? Where have you built it? And what is it like at the moment with all of these different partners coming at this at one time? Like, is it easy? Is it hard? Like, how does this experience compare with maybe other things that you've built before?
Yeah, so since the Blast ecosystem is completely new, my experience in the Blast ecosystem can only be described as super positive. So first of all, the Blast team itself is incredibly supportive, even so they have to collaborate with over 3,000 projects.
Yeah.
Then the projects building within the Blast ecosystem are all super open and cooperative. Everyone wants to form win-win partnerships, and that's the only way how actually partnerships last. And we are aiming to create mutually beneficial situations for everyone involved, not only for the projects, but especially for the community. So everyone is super focused on how to maximize yield for users, how to increase rewards. That's just a super positive vibe within the Blast ecosystem. And compared to other matured ecosystem, it's for a new project very hard to actually cooperate with a project who's already live for, let's say, a year or something. That's why this is so positive to build in the Blast ecosystem. As soon as we heard about the Blast ecosystem, of course, especially because of Pacman itself, we wanted to build on Blast natively, 100% focus of Blast, because also about what you mentioned about the ID user, the Blast ecosystem is perfect for us. We can talk about that a bit more if you want.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Just one more question on the incentives and Pacman, and like, is it new for you to be this focused on the incentives, and to what extent does the fact that it was Pacman and seeing what he did with Blur, like, to what extent did that influence you guys and think, right, I really want to, focus on the incentives as much, almost inspiring how he did it previously. Now we need to think about how to incorporate that too. Did you hear that question?
I was a bit distracted from the noise. Sorry.
It's okay.
So Pacman was definitely one of the main reasons why we wanted to build in the Blast ecosystem, because of his proven track record with Blur. He demonstrated that he and his team can outperform a first mover like OpenSea, which is very challenging in crypto. And so my bet is on Blast to become a serious competitor to Arbitrum eventually.
Okay.
And his focus on increasing yield, maximize rewards is the current crypto beta. It's kind of crypto on steroids. That's why we wanted to build in the Blast ecosystem, because we predicted that as soon as Blast goes live, everyone will focus on the Blast ecosystem, want to maximize their rewards, and it kind of became true. So that's why we are super happy to make this decision to launch on Blast.
Oh wow, I got at 6 to 7 a.m.
Very interesting. By the way, I don't know if we can hear some additional audio from somewhere. If someone's on.
Yeah, Matthew, you've got a hot mic, brother.
Yeah, Matt, if you just mute, that would be great. It keeps kind of flipping on and off. Okay, we mentioned the ideal user. I think some of these things, like when I, as someone who's like fairly sophisticated in the ecosystem, I'm looking at that ecosystem chart and I can see all these different protocols. Increasingly, there are some products that are getting more and more complicated in essence, and I wondered, like, how are you laser focused on your ideal user? Who is your ideal user? Why? And then on top of that, why should Modern Market listeners use your protocol over any other similar protocols? What are you putting in place to attract that ideal user, and what differentiates you from any competition that you might have?
Yeah, so our ideal user is an active trader who wants to connect with like-minded people and discuss tokens, trends in the Blast ecosystem, and then trade together. And our focus, what are the benefits for Blast users using Packbot? So first of all, we have a Telegram wallet where your assets natively rebase. Then we won't charge any trading fees initially to optimize your yield. Our trading bot offers power users some advanced features such as liquidity and method sniping, stop loss, take profit features, and you can analyze tokens within our web app like DEX Screener-like. And then you can also use our web app to trade on any Blast protocol, as I mentioned, to maximize your yield. Why should you use it? Because our focus was to provide a superior user experience. We want to simplify crypto. We want to onboard new users. We want to connect them with experienced traders that they get the best alpha signals. That's how we want to convince users to use Packbot rather than other similar projects. But actually, once we introduce our social trading groups, I think there's no other protocol that can offer a web app wallet on Telegram, a trading bot, and also those token-gated trading groups with then the performance data that you can actually really check how trading groups perform, which trader or maybe even a key opinion leader has actually a good trading performance. That's also interesting for me to see once we shed some lights into that. That's what we are focusing on to simplify and automate your crypto trading experience.
So this sounds really interesting. I think for me personally, I see a lot of the stuff kind of semi behind the scenes as to what goes on. So I have a conversation with a lot of individuals about what they're building in various projects. But I think for the average person or the average user, they see very much like a Twitter account, public feed, stuff like that. So I guess just for those listeners who perhaps don't see what happens behind the scenes, like what is you mentioned a few partners that you've been speaking to. So did they reach out to you? Like, is there some sort of collaborative way of working? Is it all remote? Do you get to meet up with these guys in person, or is it very much anonymous? What is that feel as the ecosystem? Because ultimately, if you have this flourishing ecosystem, everyone's like collaborative, then it kind of brings the whole ecosystem up. But if it's very much like PvP, like launching dexes versus other spot dexes or perp dexes versus other perp dexes, like how do you see that ecosystem plugging in? Is it collaborative, or is it very much like a bit of a mix? Or what are some insights that you can give us from behind the scenes that we wouldn't necessarily get from the timeline or from the projects themselves?
Yeah, so once we have registered for the Big Bang competition, we were invited from the Blast team to join their Blast Beta Slack space. And there are some open channels, Big Bang Beta community, for instance. And there people can just introduce themselves, introduce their project, and then you can just DM them, for instance. Also on Twitter, I received a lot of DMs from other projects. Hey, let's chat, let's create a Telegram group. There are also some Blast Beta Telegram groups also to introduce each project, and then you can just DM them or say, hey, I want to connect, let's chat, let's create a group. And so now I have, I don't know how many beta groups I have with other projects, maybe even 20 or 30 or something. It's all over the place. And as I mentioned at the beginning, everyone is super cooperative, super open to at least discuss how we can actually work and collaborate together. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you have just you have the similar product or features, and then you can't really cooperate. But everyone is at least wants to find ways how to actually cooperate, how to create win-win situations. So far super positive. First time that it was as it is right now. Super happy how cooperative and how open everyone is in the system.
That's awesome. Sounds very, very interesting from that perspective. Maybe zooming out a little bit, you've mentioned a lot about the product, a lot about you guys. I think that's really interesting to learn about. What about just from a personal perspective? like maybe as a user, just like we are as a consumer, kind of experimenter, like a lot of people in the audience. What are you excited about on Blast? What are you maybe looking at just from a personal perspective that you think might be interesting to the audience?
Yeah, personally, I'm super excited about all the hype around Blast and all the opportunities other projects also provide. As our focus is on active traders and users, Blast was just a perfect choice for us because there are people who deposited assets into Blast prior to the mainnet launch, as I did. This is our ideal user base because those are active crypto degens. That's what is exciting about Blast, even from a user perspective, because that's where all the hype and activity will happen. And then this native yield approach is something innovative within the layer 2 space, which has caught our attention. And I think there are a lot of completely new ways, maybe we haven't seen all of it, how to incentivize the users. And especially in the gaming and NFT space, I'm super curious to see how other builders will provide new and innovative ways how to use this native yield, how to actually incentivize users. So there are a lot of cool gaming, gambling, NFT projects coming to Blast. And I can't wait, to see what they build. And I will try to use as many protocols as possible, just to see what they provide. What can I learn? What can I gain as a user? So this is super exciting.
Yeah, very, very exciting. I think the yield is definitely interesting. Just one word from you as someone who's like building on the protocol, like what are the risks attached to this type of environment? We've already seen one protocol like raise quite aggressively and then suddenly disappear. But even from the technical standpoint, like are there is there reason for people to be a bit conservative? Should people maybe not even be jumping in today, like testing things out straight away? Like how do you see that as someone who's like right in there at the moment? What should be at the front of our users' minds?
Yeah, everything I say, of course, is no financial advice.
Sure.
Everyone has to do his own research and need to be careful because there will be a lot of, most likely there will happen a lot of scams, rugs, pump and dump schemes. So don't just ape in any token that is live today. Maybe do some low risk actions first. Provide liquidity to lending protocol, farm those points. Better to be safe than sorry. So not just invest in any kind of public sale that is ongoing, especially if those projects are not doxed. So I would always try to connect with other traders, maybe in some social trading groups if you want, and then discuss with others which team is legit, who's doxed, what are the public informations to make decisions based on facts rather than just speculation on hype and FOMO into things. That's what I can maybe give to users attend.
Makes a lot of sense. Leonard, thanks so much for joining us. It's been really interesting to learn more about Packbot, learn more about Blast from that kind of behind the scenes perspective, because I think a lot of people have been anticipating it for quite some time. So we're going to be covering Blast a lot. We'll be happy to keep in touch and just try to stay on top of everything that you guys are doing and everything else that's going on in the ecosystem too. If people want to just be aware and keep on top of what you are specifically building, where should they go to just be aware of that?
Twitter and Telegram are my preferred choices. Follow relevant and influencers with a positive and high reputation. Join Blast Focus Telegram groups, Blast Degens from EasyX. Coco is a great group on Telegram that I can recommend. There are other Discord, maybe trading groups, but we are focused on Telegram. So I would say Twitter and Telegram is your choice.
Awesome. Definitely do that, guys. Really, really interesting stuff to learn about Packbot today. We're delighted to have had this conversation with you, Leonard. Thank you so much for joining. Sammy, Legendary, any final thoughts as we conclude the show? Final anticipatory thoughts about Blast? What are you thinking as we kind of get into short 30-second hits as we close out?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm rugging as well, but I'd probably say I like the point around the risk, like make sure you do your risk management. I do think that there will be opportunities. It will come down to risk and reward, but I think going through those backed projects, whether Wintermute, Binance, all these big names behind them, they would have done some level of due diligence. So I think that's a pretty safe bet to go down.
Sure.
I'll say to you, Legendary.
Yeah, very, very much agree with that. And I'm extremely excited. I think I spoke about it yesterday. Another aspect for that is bet sizing for me. Don't obviously throw everything into one single protocol.
Yep.
Even if the founders are doxed and even if they're backed by prominent institutions, you still are facing other risks apart from rugs, smart contract risks, etc. But nonetheless, I'm incredibly excited for that. And for me, it's going to be a long night because I will be staying up very long and degening into various things.
Yeah, so that's one of the things, right? Like we obviously say not financial advice. You've got to do your own research, be careful. But having said that, like we are proper participants. We do the media. We do this every single day. We write, we talk about the market, but we're real participants. So we will be putting our money in different places and experimenting because I think that's part of the game and that's why we're here at least. So do your own research, have fun, be responsible. And yeah, let's see how we go. Very excited for the rest of today. Thank you so much as always. Apologies for the audio issues again, ladies and gentlemen. I will make sure that gets sorted for tomorrow, but it's been a great show and the first one of this kind of Blast season. We're going to do these a lot more. We do this every single day, 7 a.m. Eastern time, 12 p.m. GMT, and we will have these more segments on Blast and cool things building out in that ecosystem. So as always, thank you to my co-hosts, Legendary and Sammy. Thank you to our special guest today, Leonard from Packbot. Thank you to our other speakers, Jack, Funky, and Tiro. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining us. As always, we'll be back tomorrow on Friday to get into a bigger discussion on everything else that's going on. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys.